सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु। तदात्मनि निरते यौपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ते मयि सन्तु। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओमित्येतदक्षरमुद्गीतमुपासीत ओमिति ह्युद्गायते। चाले है तस्योपव्याख्यानम्। पेज 328। यदा वै मनुते अथ विजानाति न अमत्वा विजानाति मत्वैव विजानाति मतिस्त्वेव विजिज्ञासितव्या इति मतिं भगवो विजिज्ञासे इति। यदा वै श्रद्दधाति अथ मनुते न अश्रद्दधन् मनुते श्रद्दधैव मनुते श्रद्धात्वेव विजिज्ञासितव्या इति। श्रद्धां भगवो विजिज्ञासे इति। यदा वै निस्तिष्ठते अथ श्रद्दधाते न अनिस्तिष्ठन् श्रद्दधाते निस्तिष्ठन्नेव श्रद्दधाते। निष्ठात्वेव विजिज्ञासितव्या इति। निष्ठां भगवो विजिज्ञासे इति। यदा वै करोति अथ निस्तिष्ठते न कृत्वा निस्तिष्ठते कृत्वैव निस्तिष्ठते कृतिस्त्वे विजिज्ञासितव्या इति कृतिं भगवो विजिज्ञासे इति यदा वै मनुते अथ विजानाति यदा वै सत्यं विजानाति अथ सत्यं वदति यः सत्येन अतिवदति एष तु वै अतिवदति एष तु वै अतिवदति He indeed is an ativadi who transcends everything in speech, who transcends whatever is mithya and speaks what is real, what is truth. So yes, satyena ativadati. Not even prana, not even hiranyagarbha, not even saguna brahma, who transcends that also, and satyena, by virtue of the knowledge of satyam, paramarthikam satyam, by virtue of the knowledge of absolute reality, which of course all of this vijanati is in terms of knowing as self all along. So even when he knows prana as atma, prana heva sarvani bhavati, he becomes prana. He knows prana as atma. So when he knows satyam as atma, ativadati, then he can be called an ativadi in the true sense. So we said earlier in this Upanishad, ativadi, one who transcends everything in speech, is described as the mukta purusha, as the one who is liberated. Because he does not see what is mithya, or does not give reality to what is mithya. What is mithya is very clear. Na sato vidyate bhavaha, na bhavo vidyate sadaha. Ubhayor vidishtantah tvanayos tattvadarshivih. So tattvadarshivih, those who are the seers of truth, ubhayoho antaha drishtaha. They have known the reality about both of them, Sat as well as Asat. When Asat is known as Asat, meaning Mithya is known as Mithya, and Sat is known as Sat. When Satyam is known as Satyam. He is a liberated person who knows himself as Satyam, as Paramadhikam Satyam, or absolute reality. One who knows oneself as the changeless reality, which is the substratum of all the changes, which as we said is ever the same, infallible, most trustworthy, limitless, free from all sense of inadequacy. He is the one who is liberated, and he is described as ativadi. So when will he become ativadi? Yada vai vijanati atha satyam vadati. So when he speaks satyam or truth, he is ativadi in the true sense. So that's the goal. Yada vai vijanati. When does he speak truth? Yada vai vijanati atha satyam vadati. Only when he knows satyam, then alone he speaks satyam. So when does he know satyam? Yada vai manute atha vijanati. So vijnanam is preceded by mananam. Atmavara drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, vijignyasitavya. So or niridhyasitavya. So niridhyasanam or vijnanam is preceded by mananam. Yada vai manute. Meaning that when one performs vichara upon the statements of the Upanishad, by manana we should understand here the vichara. Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, Jivo Brahma Ivanaparaha. What does it mean? So when one understands truly the meaning of what is meant by Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithya, and Jiva is Brahma, when truly understands, the true understanding of those statements requires the Tatparya Nirnaya. What is the Tatparya? What is the purport? What is that is intended meaning of by the Shruti? What does Shruti intend to convey? So when that meaning is known, and that is important because it is not just Vachyartha, it is the Lakshyartha of the statements. With the Vachyartha, we can understand ourselves. For Lakshyartha, we have to go to the Guru. Therefore, Vijanati, Vajave Manute. Whereas Manam, reflection, Vichara, that is when he comes to know, that's when he comes to know Satyam is the self, that's when he comes to speak Satyam. So when will that Manam or Vichara take place? Yada vai Shraddha dhati. When one has Shraddha, Astikya Buddhi. Number one, faith in that what I want to know is really there. That there is Satyam. Asanneva savati asad brahmeti vedased santamenam tato vidurati astitya. So one who knows it is begins with that. Astitya upalabdhavya tattva cha. And first is Asti, then Asmi. Yadavai Shraddha dhati. Shraddha, an implicit faith in the veracity or satyata of the statements of the teacher as well as the scriptures. Atha manute. Then alone will proceed to do Maranama Vichara. Brahmavit Apnodi Param. That's what the Upanishad says. Brahmavit Apnodi Param. The knower of Brahman attains the highest, the limitless. Tardishokam Atmavit. The knower of the self crosses the ocean of grief. So these are statements. When one has Shraddha, that these statements mean what they say, then one will devote oneself. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatparaha. Then tatparata comes. Then devotion comes. Then only one can dedicate oneself to whatever efforts are required to do what is to be done. In this case, Shraddhavan labhate jnanam. The one with Shraddha attains the knowledge. What does Shraddha do? Tatpara. He becomes totally para or devoted to that. So yadavai Shraddha dhati. When one has Shraddha, one has devotion, one has commitment, then only Sanyata in the other steps will be there. Then Vichara is possible. Then Vijnanam is possible. Yada vai nistishtari atha shraddhadhati. So Guru Uktarthe Adar Bhave. There is Shraddha. So when nistishtari, when one serves in a devoted manner, so Nishtha is Guru Shushrushadehi. Nishtha is interpreted by Bhashyakara as Guru Shushrusha, service to the teacher, Adi. Shravanapi Sangrahitam. And then Tatparatvam Brahma Vijnanaya. Also, so that is why I say Guru Shushrushadi Tatpara Rupaya Nishtaya Shravanam Brahma Jnanaya. The Tatparata or devotion is to Brahma Jnanam here. Shraddhavan labhate jnanam tatpara. So here the tatparata is for the jnanam. So Brahma Jnana, for the purpose of knowledge of Brahman, Guru Shushrushadi, he is serving teacher not with any other agenda, though the agenda is the knowledge of Brahman. The Tikakara says, Shravanapi Sangrahitam. Shravanam also should be included because Mananam was said, Manute. Although we interpret Manam as Vichara, that is okay. But if Mananam is only Mananam, then Mananam should be preceded by Shravanam. So Tikakara says that in Nishtha, Shravanam also should be included, Guru Seva also should be included, and whatever is required, Adi, Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti, Shanto, Danta, Uparita, Uparata, Titikshu, Shraddha Vitto Bhutva. So one strives to also cultivate all those virtues. Tadatmani nirate Upanishad dharmas te mai santu. Tadatmani nirate, one who is devoted to self-knowledge. The Upanishad dharmas, all dharmas, Shanti, Danti, Uparati, which are taught in Upanishad, te mai santu, may those virtues be in me, may they be in me. And so, all of this is the only agenda. In serving the teacher, the only agenda is knowledge and also acquiring whatever virtues or qualifications required for attaining that knowledge. Then says, Nishtham Bhagavo Vijignyaseti. I seek to know what is Nishtha, meaning that I seek to know what is sadhanam, what is the means of Nishtha. That's what you understand. Vijignyaseti sadhanena vijnanam prathayameti. When said Narada, this is Vijignyase. I seek to know it specifically, means I want to know what is the sadhanam, what is the means of that. So mananam matim bhagavo vijignyase. I seek to know mananam, meaning what is the means of mananam. What preparation should be there when mananam is possible? Shraddha. Shraddham bhagavo vijignyase. What preparation is required for attaining Shraddha? Nishtha. Nishthan bhagavo vijignyase. What is the means of attaining that Nishtha? Yada vai karoti atha nistishtade. Nishtha, service to a teacher, etc., all requires action, appropriate action. So, yada vai karoti atha nistishtade. When one does what is required, then alone seva is possible, then Shraddha is possible, then Mananam is possible, then Vijnanam is possible, then Satyavadam is possible, then Ativaditvam is possible. Krutihi Indriya Sanyamaha Shraddhavan Labhate Jnanam Tatpara Sanyata Indriya. So Krutihi Indriya Sanyamaha. What he does is Indriya Sanyama. He has the control over his sense organs. Meaning that all his energies are totally directed to the seva and shraddha and manana and jnana. Indriya Sanyama Chitta Ekagrata Karanam Cha. Indriya Sanyama should be there. Chitta Ekagrata. For proper seva, this is what you require. For serving somebody in a true sense, doing justice to your service. Serving is not just serving, doing something, doing what is appropriate, what is right, at the right time, the right place, requires chitta ekagrata karanam. Total concentration upon the one to whom you want to serve. Indriya Sanyama. And also, not allowing oneself to be distracted to anything else. Satyami tasyam nishtadini yathoktani bhavanti. So when this Indriya Sanyama, the control over one's sense organs is there, chitta ekagrata karanam, when the concentration or focus of the mind is there, then alone nishtha is possible, shraddha is possible, etc. Now on page 329 we proceed further. So then said Narada said, Kritim bhagavo vijignyaseti. O Bhagavaha, O Venerable Sir, Kritim vijignyase, I seek to know. So sadhanena kritim prarthayami. What is the sadhanam? For doing this kriti, or what is the right thing to do? When would one be motivated to do what is to be done? So then the next passage says, Yada vai sukham labhate atha karote na asukham labdhva karote sukham eva labdhva karote sukham tveva vijignyasitavyamite sukham bhagavo vijignyase ite. Yadave sukham labhate. If that Indriya Sanyama, control over the senses, chitta ekagrata karanam, the concentration of mind requires a lot of effort, lot of dedication. When would one do that? Yadave sukham labhate. Only when doing all of this promises happiness. Ultimately, one does whatever one does for the express purpose of happiness. That's the ultimate goal. Even the goal of ativadana, become ativadi, also is only happiness. Inasmuch as giving reality to mithya is a cause of unhappiness, because when we give reality to something, then it will is taken to be real. And mithya is always changing, unreliable, untrustworthy, and therefore sometimes favorable, sometimes unfavorable, and therefore always like a pendulum, like a seesaw of happiness and unhappiness. Harsha, shoka. Harsha, shoka. That is samsara. And so, when mithya is given reality, this is what bound to happen. All kinds of disappointment, and unfortunately dukkha is much more than sukham. That's the thing. All sorts of disappointments are there. And therefore, only way one can gain sukham is when the satyam is known as satyam, of course. But ultimately the purpose behind doing anything is sukham. Yada vai sukham labhate atha karoti. When this promises me happiness, then alone I will be motivated to do that, not otherwise. Na sukham labdhva karoti. Or sukham na alabdhva na karoti. One will not do anything unless there is a promise of happiness. Of course, one will not do something when it promises unhappiness. Asukham means unhappiness. Meaning that if you don't get happiness, you will get unhappiness. So gaining unhappiness, nobody wants to do something. Meaning that nobody wants to do something to gain unhappiness. One does whatever one does to gain happiness. Sukhameva labdhva karoti. One dedicates himself to the appropriate efforts only when all that effort promises happiness. Sukham tve vijignyasitavyam, meaning, hey Narada, sukham must be attained. Vijignasa means sadhanena praptavyam. One should attain sukham by what the right means. Sukham bhagavo vijignyasayati. Oh Venerable Sir, I seek to know sukham, meaning I seek to know what are the means of happiness. So Anandagiri says in the line 29, Kritistari krito bhavati iti. So Kritistari krito bhavati. If Kriti is a means of nishtha, means of shraddha, etc. So Kriti ultimately leads to the Ativadana, the ultimate goal. Then Kritistari krito bhavati. How do we attain that Kriti or the right kind of effort or Indriya Samyama, Chitta Ekagrata Karanam? How do we attain that? Or the other Tikakara says in line 35, Nitya Nitya Vastu Vega Purugam Anityat Virajya Nitya Vastu Lipsa Indriya Samyama Lakshana Samadhi sadhane hetu hityaha. So again, by Indriya Samyama, what is meant is Shanti Danti Uparati. So how does that Samadhi Satika Sampatti come? When there is Vairagya. How does Vairagya come? When there is Viveka. So Viveka, Vairagya, Samadhi Satika Sampatti. So by Kruti, Bhashyakara says Indriya Samyama. Meaning Samadhi Satika Sampatti. Chitta Ekagrata Karana meaning Samadhana. So Samadhi Satika Sampatti and Samadhanam, these two qualifications are what is meant by the word Kruti. And so they must be preceded by Viveka and Vairagya. When Viveka is there, Vairagya is there. Vairagya is there, Samadhi, Shatka Sampatti is there. When that is there, Mumukshutvam is there. So Shraddha is there, Shamadama is, Uparati is there, Samadhanam is there. Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka Purvakam, preceded by Nitya Nitya Vastu Viveka. One's life, the Viveka, discrimination, between discernment between what is Nitya and what is Anitya. Before that, there is this insight or understanding that I am seeking something in life. And what I am seeking is Nitya Vastu. I cannot be satisfied by what is Anitya, what is impermanent. What I am seeking is permanent. Seeking permanent freedom, everlasting freedom from a sense of inadequacy is what I want. Inadequacy can go only when I become adequate. And adequacy means that I am free from every sense of want or lack. So I forever want to be free, become free from lack or want or sense of limitation. That has to happen. So that is the first step in Viveka. Then comes the next step. What is Nitya and what is Anitya? But that, what is important in my life is Nitya Vastu. I do not want Anitya. Because Anitya is what is causing all the sorrow. So I don't want it. When that is clear, then next question is what is Nitya and what is Anitya. So Nitya Vastu Viveka Purugam, Anitya Virajya. Virajya means having attained the Vairagya. Vairagyam Prapva, having attained Vairagya, Prapya. So Vairagya comes as preceded by Viveka. Nitya Vastu Lipsa. Then comes the Mukshutvam. Lipsa means what? Labdum Ichcha. The desire to attain Nitya Vastu. Indriya Same Lakshana Samadhi Sadhane Hetuhu. Then one knows that this is a Praptasya Praptihi, attainment of what is already attained. Meaning that I have to own up myself. The problem in my life is disowning myself, being diverse from myself, the mind being attached to what is Anitya. And that requires me to disengage my mind from what is Anitya so that it can engage into what is Nitya. Avruta Chakshuhu Amrutatvam. Desiring immortality, he became Avruta Chakshuhu, whose eyes or sense organs are turned inward. That is what is meant by Samadhi Sharka Sampatti, when the mind is turned inward towards the self. Therefore, that is the means of this Kruti. That is called Kruti. So, Bhashyakara says, Sapi Krutihi Yada Sukham Labhate Sukham Niratishayam Vakshamanam Labdhavyam Maya Iti Manyate Tada Bhavate Ityarthaha. Sapi Krutihi, even that Kruti of the nature of Indriya Samyama, Samadhi Shatka Sampatti or Samadama Uparati. Yada Sukham Labhate. That Kruti or that effort is possible only when one is assured that this effort will result into Sukham or happiness. So what is meant by that? Sukham means nirdishayam here. By happiness is meant because happiness one keeps getting even from the objects of the world. So not just happiness. What kind of happiness one desires? Nirdishayam Sukham, unsurpassable happiness. Then Viveka also has to come. That I cannot be satisfied with the bits and pieces of happiness that comes to me. I cannot be satisfied with them. What I want is unsurpassable happiness for all the time, at all the places, under all the conditions. The Tikakara says, Nirita Shayamete Nityam Ityavid Drashtavyam. That I want unsurpassable happiness forever. Nitya means avinashi. That unsurpassable happiness comes and never leaves me. That's what I want. So sukham nirdisham vakshamanam. What is that sukham? Is knowledge. Yovai bhuma tat sukham. Sukham is only in the limitless. Where is limitlessness? In non-duality. Nanyat pashyati, nanyat shrunoti, nanyat vijanati, sabhuma. So that's how the equation goes. So you want happiness, unsurpassable happiness forever. What's the nature of that? Bhuma means abundant, as we'll see, limitless. Yovai bhuma tat sukham. That where there is limitless, alone that happiness is there. And where is the limitlessness? When there is non-duality. So vakshamanam, sukham is not presented as an experience. Sukham is presented as the knowledge of reality. What is reality? Non-duality. Therefore, superimposing duality upon non-duality is the cause of unhappiness. Not that non-duality has to be created or attained. It is, that's all there is. All I need to do is to stop superimposing duality upon what is non-dual. That's what is required. When we recognize that the duality is mithya, superimposition. So vakshamanam, Bhashyakara says what will be subsequently described. That bhuma is sukham. Meaning Brahman is sukham. Limitlessness is sukham. Not even experience of limitlessness. Limitlessness is sukham. And you are the limitless. So you are the sukham. Recognition of that fact is sukham. Not experiencing the limitlessness. Because being limitless. Even if you want to use the word experiencing, you may use it as long as you understand that experiencing means becoming, being. Experiencing a tenth man is becoming tenth man, being tenth man. Vakshamanam labdhavyam maya iti manyate. That by doing this, I will attain that unsurpassable, permanent happiness, eternal happiness. Iti manyate tada bhavati. So says Annagiri, yada sukham labhate tada bhavati iti sambandha. Yada sukham labhate tada bhavati. Kruti. Only when that he attains the happiness, that's when the kruti or right effort is possible. So Sri Ramanagiri, nanu sukhalabhasya indriya-samyamadi vyatirekena bhavat katham sukhalabha adhina kruti idyasankya. Unless kruti is there, sukhalabha is not possible. What is kruti? Indriya-samyama, control over sense organs, chitta ekagrata karanam, the focus or concentration of the mind, then alone. So, avurta chakshu, then the mind becomes inward looking. That is when it can experience the self. So, unless, how can you get sukham unless there is kruti or indriya samyama? Sukhalabhasya indriya samyamadi vyatirekena abhavat. That attainment of happiness, even experiencing happiness also, cannot be without the concentration of mind, without the control of the sense organs. Katham sukha labha adhina krutihi. How do you say that kruti is possible only when you attain happiness? If happiness is not possible, only you attain kruti? So here it seems that Kruti or Samadhi Shrika Sampatti is attained when one attains happiness. But one cannot attain happiness unless one possesses Samadhi Shrika Sampatti. So why does the Upanishad say this way? Iti ashankya Bhashyakara said, Sukham niratishayam vakshamana labdhavyam mayayati. So when labhate labdum ichchati. Labhate means what? Not one attains, one desires to attain that happiness. Or one has the promise of attainment of that happiness. And so even though labhate it says, so labdum ichchati, Bhashyakara explains that. The Tikakar also in line 36, Subhala Sukhalabhanantaram Kruti Shabdita Samadhi Pravati Anupatte. When one attains Sukham or happiness that one wants, there is very question of any effort required. So that is called Sukham, where all efforts drops, really. That is the real happiness where all the effort drops. Effort is there as long as there is this sense of individuality. As long as kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam is there. As long as ahankara in the form of kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, raga, dvesha is there, so long alone effort is possible. So only when it drops, that is when one attains sukha. And therefore, then where is the question of doing any effort? Once the river attains the ocean, where is the question of river now seeking to go someplace? So sukham or happiness is the ultimate goal of all the efforts. Having attained that sukham, then kruti, which is sadhana, is not necessary. When sadhya is attained, sadhana is no more necessary. You need the boat until you cross the river. When you cross the river, then you don't carry the boat with you, just leave it there. So Sukhalamaanantaram Samadhi Pravati Anupatte. When the dhyam goal in the form of Sukhalama, attainment happiness attained, then what's the point in doing now Kruti? Labha Shabdena Ichcha Uchyate. So, labdum ichcha, by love or attainment is meant the desire to attain happiness. So, Bhashyakara says, Sukham nirdesham vaksham labdhavyam maya. So, labhate is interpreted as labdhavyam. Siddhanagiri Vakshmana Sukha Labdhavyatva Abhimanadeva Yathokta Krutihi Siddhyati Ityartha. So, Vakshmana Sukha Labdhavyatva, meaning that only when that nirdishaya, unsurpassable happiness will be attained. Abhimana here means that kind of an understanding. Abhimana eva. So labdhavyatva abhimana deva means one is assurance that this happiness will be attained. Yathokta krutihi siddhyati. Then only the kruti of the nature of samadhi sampatti will be possible. All the Tikakar here says, Yatha loke drishta phala rupa sukha hetu krutau tat sukha ichcha hetuhu. Just as in our day-to-day effort also, drishta phala rupa sukha. Happiness is drishta phalam. What is immediately attained? Hetu krutau. So what is the hetu? What's the means of attaining that happiness? Tat sukhechchayava. So when you will attain something, when you desire something. So sukham also, happiness can be attained when one desires happiness. Tatha ihapeti, here also the same rule applies. So Bhashyakara says, Yatha drushtaphala sukha kritihi tatha ihape. Yatha drushtaphala sukha kritihi. Siddha tika drushtaphala rupam sukham yasya sa tathokta. So one who results into immediate happiness. Dushta means immediate, not in future, not later on. So when one results into, one is promised that there will be the happiness as a result of this, then only there is a desire, then only there is an action, and then there is all other steps. Also, Anagiri, Sukham labdva karoti tat dushtantena sadhayati yatha drishtaphala sukha kritihi. That's any action always is motivated by the promise of immediate happiness. Says Anandagiri, drishtam phalam putra pashvadi tajjanya sukha uddesha purvika loke kritihi drishta. What is drishta phalam? What is the means of happiness? Putra pashvade. So normally a person believes that when I get the means of happiness, I will be happy. So when putra projan is there, I will be happy. Pashu cattle is there, I will be happy. Wealth is there, and these are looked upon as the means of happiness. So when one is promised of attaining that, then one knows that one will get happiness, and then one will do desire for that, and then there will be action. So tajjanya sukhodesha purvika kritihi loke drishta. So per people we find that people always make an effort only keeping in mind that happiness or the means of happiness which this action will generate. This action will generate for me a progeny or cattle or wealth or whatever it is that I look upon as a means of happiness. It can be name, fame, power, whatever. Whatever it is that a person looks upon as a means of happiness, only when there is a promise of attaining that, then although there is a desire to attain that. Meaning that kruti or action is always preceded by desire. And desire for what? Desire for happiness. Not happiness, but desire for happiness. Tatha Atmani api sukham labdva eva karoti. So it is also that one will attain happiness from the self. With that promise, one does what is required. In this case, shamadisho. Here the action is different. In the day-to-day, in the local life, action is performing an action to attain the means of happiness, which are external. Here, since means of happiness is your own self, the samadhi becomes a means, you see. So, Atmani api sukham labdva eva karoti. To have attained happiness as my own self. That's then one will turn the mind inward, which is meant by samadhi. Natu vina tad uddeshamide. So, without keeping happiness in mind, nobody will perform any action. Happiness is not yet there. It is in future. One wants to attain happiness. So keeping that means of happiness in mind. Happiness is what? Means of happiness. Putra Pashwari. Or in this case, the Atmajnanam, self-knowledge. That's the means of happiness. Keeping that in mind, one will do whatever is required to accomplish that objective. Then Bhashyakara says, Na asukham labdhva karote Sukham labdva iti, sukham alabdva iti na karoti. One will not do something unless there is a promise of happiness. ननु सुखलाभस्य भविष्यतः कथम लब्ध्वा इति भूतत्वेन निर्देशयति. But sukhalabha, attainment of happiness, bhavishata is going to happen in future. Katham sukham labdhva karoti. My Upanishad says attaining happiness one does. Ida ashankya labhodeshanasya bhutatvat tat gatam bhutatvam tad vishayalave upacharyate iti. Labhodeshanasya bhutatvat. The happiness is preceded by the desire for happiness, which brings about action keeping happiness in mind. So that has to happen first. Bhuta means that has to happen first, and then only sukham comes later. So bhutatvam, the precedence or being in the past, actually is in uddesha, is in desire. So desire in the past and happiness is in future, you see. So what the Upanishad does is that what is in the future is superimposed and then sukham in the past. So even or what is past is superimposed on future and vice versa. Therefore, tad gadam bhutatvam tad vishayalave upacharyate. The uddesha is in the past and that is superimposed upon the vishayalave, attainment of vishaya is in future. But as though it is in the past, because the desire in the past, therefore the vishayalava also is described as past, even though it is in fact in future. So Vashyakara says, Bhavishyat abhiphalam labdhva iti uchyate taduddishya pravrutte upapattehe. Bhavishyat abhiphalam. Your phalam, the happiness is in future. But labdhva iti uchyate. So what is in future? You superimpose pastness upon that future and call it labdhva, having attained. Bhavishyatapi. Why is it so? Taduddishya pravruttopaktehe. Because only when uddesha is in the past, uddesha or keeping that in mind, the happiness is there, then pravrutti, the effort for attaining happiness is there. Therefore, what is to be attained, sukham also, is thus already attained. Just upachara in a figurative sense. It is said, what in the past is uddesha, desire, and what is in future is the result in the form of happiness. So pastness is superimposed upon future, and labdhva is said. Anurishad Uttar Grantham. Or again, Annagiri said the same thing. Nanu indriyanam manasasya samyapurukam sukham bhavati tathacha katham talabdhva karoti. Okay, but happiness is there only when indriya samyama and chitta ekagrata karan is there, and so it is upachara by figurative sense. It is said. So what is in past is superimposed upon the future. Uttar Grantham Akanksha Pura Uthapayati. Uttar Grantham. So then, na sukham labdhva karoti, sukham toya vijignyasadavyam, sukham eva labdhva karoti, sukham toya vijig. So sukham toya vijignyasadavyam. One is also has to desire to seek happiness, meaning that one has to make effort to attain that happiness. So that's what Sanat Kumara says. So sukham toya vijignyasadavyam. One should seek to know sukham, meaning one should seek to know what are the means of attaining that sukham, because sukham doesn't come unless you make the right effort. So that's what Bhashyakara wants to say, Athayati. Or, as other Tikakara says in line 22, Satyam te vijignasadam iti anenaiva सुखस्वरूपस्य सत्यस्य विजिज्ञासायाः उक्तत्वात् सत्यं ते विजिज्ञासितव्यं. हे Narada, you must seek to know Satyam. And Satyam is Sukham. So why? So Sukhaswarupasya Satyasya Vijignasaya Uktatvad. So ultimately Vijignasa, the desire to attain or desire to implement is other means of the attainment. So when you say that, you must know Satyam. You must say Satyam. Satyam is Sukham. So therefore, when you say Satyam Vijignasitavam, Sukham Vijignasitavam is already said. Because Satyam is Sukhaswarupam. So Sukhaswarupasya Satyasya, when in the past the desire for knowing Satyam was prescribed, it automatically included the prescription for Sukham because Satyam is Sukham. Then why does Sanat Kumara say Sukham te Vijignasitavyam, that one has to now again attain or desire to know this Sukham? Or the means of knowing, getting Sukham. Why? Because already Satyam is said, and Satyam is Sukham. So why should this is not repetition? Idi punah na vakyukta iti. Therefore, Sukham te vijignasitavyam. When Satyam is stated, Satyam is Sukham, then why Sukham is stated again? Iti ashankya satyasyapi sada sukhasya sukhatvena jnanamena tas sadhana krutyadishu prutyanupatte. See, earlier it was said that one must attain Satyam. But unless you know Satyam is Sukham, one would not be even motivated to attain Satyam. As you said, we are not interested in anything really. We are only interested in one thing, namely happiness. Not even Ishvara, not truth, nothing. Human being wants, or every living being wants happiness. So pursuit of happiness, Sukha, Satyam, truth also will be there provided one is promised that is what happiness is. So it's important to know that Satyam is Sukham. Say Ativadati ya Satyena Ativadati and Vijanan Satyam. So Vijanate Satyam Vadati. That knowledge of the Satyam also will be has to be preceded by knowledge that Satyam is happiness. So therefore, Satyasyapi Satah Sukhasya. Even though Satyam is of the nature of Sukham, Sukhatvena Jnanam Vina. Unless Satyam is known as Sukham, tad Jnana Sadhana Krutyadishu Pravutyanupatte. One will not be naturally motivated to undertake the efforts required for gaining the knowledge. Tad Vijignasa Pruthak Bhaktavya. Therefore, again, you have to say that one has to attain happiness, meaning one has to do the right effort to attain happiness. One must undertake sadhanam to attain that happiness, has to be stated. So Bhashyakara then raises a doubt and then answers it. Says, Atha idanim krutyadishu uttarottareshu satsu satyam swayameva pratibhasate iti natadvijnanaya prasagyatanah karya iti praptam tatah idamuchyate. Atha shabdah Shanka prarambhata. Atha, then one may have this doubt. Krutyadishu uttarettereshu satsu satyam swayameva pratibhasate. When you undertake kruti, there will be nishtha, then there will be shraddha, then there will be mananam, matim, then there will be shravanam, then there will be vijnanam, then there will be knowledge of Satyam, then Satyavadanam, then Ativaditvam, and then so automatically Sukham will happen. So Satyam, so Swayameva pratibhasate iti. Therefore, the Satya will itself as Sukham. Na tad vijnanaya pratagyatna karya iti praptam. So why separate effort for attainment of happiness? Because Satyam is happiness. Tata idam uchyate. Therefore, the Upanishad says this, Sanat Kumara says that. What does he say? Sukham tveva vijignyasadavyam ityade. Sukham tveva vijignyasadavyam iti. That one has to also know what are the means of attaining that sukham. Then says Bhashya, Sukham bhagavo vijignyase iti abhimukhi bhutaya aha. Sukham bhagavo vijignyase. Then immediately says, Narada says, I seek to know happiness. I seek to know what's the means of that happiness. Abhimukhi bhutaya. So one who is enthused now to know the means of happiness, Narad Sant Kumara aha. Sant Kumara said the following statement. So next passage says, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham nalpe sukhamaste bhumaiva sukham bhumatve vijignasidavya iti bhumanam bhagavo vijignase iti. Yovai bhuma tat sukham. We'll continue this tomorrow. That what is bhuma? Is happiness. Na alpe sukham asti. There cannot be happiness in anything alpam or limited. Bhuma eva sukham. Only the bhuma is Brahman is sukham. Bhuma la vijignasalveti. Therefore one should know what bhuma is. Bhuma bhavo vijignaseti. Oh Venerable Sir, I seek to know what is bhuma. We'll take it tomorrow. Or just look at the footnote number 1 there. Atra vichara pradarsyante prasam adhyaya tritiya pade dvitiya adhikarane. So there is a Brahma Sutra pertaining to this particular passage. Bhuma asam prasadat adi upadeshat iti sutram. So this passage is referred to in the Brahma Sutra in that 138. That's a sutra. So what in fact necessitated the sutra? Brahma Sutra, a passage will find its place in Brahma Sutra only when its interpretation is in doubt. If more than one interpretation of a passage is possible, then only it will find its place in Brahma Sutra. What is very clear, the Sutrakara need not establish what it is because the meaning is clear. But here, another interpretation is possible. What is it? Atra bhuma prano va brahma va iti vichare purvapaksha. So what is bhuma? Is prana bhuma or brahma is bhuma? Iti vichare purvapaksha. Purvapaksha says bhuma prana iti. Prana is bhuma. Why? Tathai to illustrate the purvapaksha namadishu ashanteshu purvukti anantaram asti bhagava namno bhuyeti vagvav namno bhuyasi ityadi prashna prativachana pravaho drishyate. So every time Sanat Kumara says Nama Brahma iti upasva, may you meditate upon Nama is Brahma. Asti bhagavo namna bhuyeti. Is there something superior, better than superior to Nama? Asti, yes there is. What is namna bhuyaha asti? What is it? So vagvav namna bhuyasi. Speech is greater than Nama. Is there something greater than speech? So every time Sayyid Narada kept on asking and Sanat Kumara kept on leading him further and further to what is superior, what is subtler, what is interior. But when it came to prana, then Narada did not ask the question. Therefore the doubt arises that this is it. If there was something superior to prana, then Narada would have asked, is there something superior to prana? So, prana dvava asti bhuya, is there something superior to prana? Did not ask, means prana is the supreme. So, prashna prativajana pravaho drishyate. That whole sequence of the question and answer was there up to prana. Prana urdhvam tu na drishyate. But then that question answer did not arise after prana. Kevalam bhuma upadesha matram drishyate. The upadesha bhuma. Therefore one would think that prana is bhuma. Yes. Tena prana eva bhuma iti. Deva Purva Pakshi says, looks like prana alone is bhuma. Evam prapte brumaha. When that Purva Paksha is there, then the reply is given, bhumana pranaha. Bhuma is not prana. Prana urdhvam upadishyamanatvat. Because bhuma is now taught after prana. Atra prakarane yad urdhvam yad upadishyate tat tad bhinnam. So not only there is prashna prativajana pravaha, but there is this trend here that whatever is taught later is superior to what is taught earlier. So yad urdhvam yad upadishyate. So yad upadishyate, what is taught yad urdhvam, after which tat tad bhinnam. So what follows is different from what preceded. Nama bhinna vagvat, like the vag is different from nama and so forth. So let us take that trend, that what is taught later is different from what is taught earlier. Tatha prana bhinnatve siddhe. Therefore bhuma is taught after prana. So bhuma is different from prana. Sarvatmatvad dharmapatte bhuma brahma. Then only when bhuma is established different from prana, then only sarvatmatva upadesha is possible. Therefore bhuma is Brahman and not prana. So that's the discussion there in the Brahma Sutra. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om.